Let's take a closer look at the track for round 4 in Sardinia. Multiple lines that can be chosen directly from the grid on the way to turn 1. Super bumpy, some fast, some narrow. Not sure which one of those lines is going to be faster once we see multiple cars on track. And then, of course, all coming together up for the first of our significant corners and into more bumpy, tricky gravel sections.
Yeah, really difficult for the drivers to work out where the big bumps are, where the most challenging points of the track are, because you can see it's sandy, it's dusty. So this is a real challenge. Much more like a traditional rally stage, I'd say.
Going to suit the rally drivers, certainly. This is the start of the Continental Traction Challenge. It starts and finishes with the water splash. Again, we haven't seen a water splash so far in Extreme E. Going to have to get the wipers on if you end up with mud on the screen. I think we can expect that during the course of the racing. And as well, bumpy and narrow. It's about how much risk you want to take. There is definitely time to be made up if you're willing to take the extra risks, but we've seen that can go wrong as well.
You can just see the vision is so limited on the outside of that bigger water bump. So that's going to be one of the things you really have to nail down. Work out where your wipers are and get them on quick smart.
Coming towards the mid and the end of the lap here. Again, rough gravel sections. You can pick the left or the right-hand side of the road. Try and carry more pace across the relentless crests and dips. Changes from both gravel to sand. Here, another example. The right-hand side you can clearly see is smoother. The left is maybe more direct, but can you go quickly over?
Yeah, it's a challenge, isn't it? And they'll come up to, I suppose, the steepest gradient. This part here, you can pick your line. You can go through that scrub land like you can see here, or you can go a little bit more to the left. But that's the biggest point, a blind summit that you've got to nail to get yourself the fastest finish possible.
There's a very, very long straight just before the last corner coming up to the finish. Might we see some people using the hyperdrive at the last knockings of the race to try and take the flag?
So a very challenging 7-kilometre track in total for the Island X Prix. It's going to be fascinating to see who can master it. This is the drop-off zone.
Oh, Molly's not dropped it. She's spun it. She rolls. Rolls the car, same as in Greenland. Back on the wheel. She gets going again. She dropped that on the brakes at the top of the crest. Just got sideways over the hill, Jenny, and over it went.
Oh, Molly, Molly, Molly. How can you do that again?
She comes over the crest. The car's just a little bit sideways, and it digs in at the bottom. It's another low-speed roll. Although, when you hear it in slow motion, it sounds absolutely horrendous. The Rally de Gazelles. Oh, the problem for Sarah Price. Sideways. Is that broken? There's a lot of noise from the rear of the car. I think the suspension's collapsed. It has the rear left. That's very similar to what happened to Kevin Hansen yesterday. Absolute disaster. What have they got to do to get a change in their luck?
But this is, I think, where the damage happens. She swings the car around to the left, clatters the board, but there's a rock behind that board, and she's clipped that, and the car goes down on its haunches. You can see there, rear left suspension has gone, and that is the end of the run. Just going a little bit sideways, but just trying to nail it through this Continental Traction Challenge. It's gone way wide.
Gone off, so rear end of the car kicked up, Jenny, and he ended up offline. Luckily, manages to get back through the gates. Nothing too major to hit. They're 1,000. Oh, no! Is that broken steering on the front right? Did you see it? Looked like I think it is. I think the steering's broken on the Excite Energy machine. You saw the front right wheel just pointed off at a completely different angle. That's going to have to get parked. Water runs down. You'll all have seen it if you've been walking somewhere in a... Oh, spin for Gutierrez, goes round. Gets back on the throttle, drives through some of those bushes there. She uses the handbrake to try to rotate the car a little bit more. And Jenny, that is how quickly it can go wrong. Throwing down big time. Sebastian Loeb doing what he does best. They have absolutely smashed this.
Yeah, I don't think he could have gone any faster through that section. He's done that to perfection, 100%, full throttle. Look at that time, 11:05, over 30 seconds faster than anybody else.
He's on the radio. There's definitely a problem. You can see Katie making hand signals as well. The very first time we saw him on board, it just looked to me like he's not able. He's 9 seconds down. This is a guy who's won, world championships. We know Timmy's bang on the pace of everybody else, and he's not able to match it, Jenny.
Yeah, now that bodywork's got caught under the tyre, so that's going to be really frustrating, and it'll get ripped off at some point, and it doesn't even really matter. It's just an annoyance that they need to get rid of. We saw that when Taylor rolled the car, that whole section came off. Didn't affect her, but actually having it flapping around is the worst of the options. Beautifully taken around that waypoint flag 27. Looks really good, so she's coming towards the finishing line, and a really strong performance, as you can see. Second place, full beans, through the finish line. And there we go, really nice time. So 12 seconds behind Gutierrez and Loeb, but I think they'll be really pleased with that.
JBXE, Hansen and Arlen Kotlinski. It's been a good run, blasting down now towards the finish line. The target would be Sainz and Sands for P2, but I think they're going to end up P3 over the line. And they go third, so it's a good run, 22.9, but they're ahead of championship leaders Kristoffersen and Taylor.
They've shown they're adept at many of the challenges that have been thrown at them, and Sarrazin, again, nice clean run, which is what he wanted.
Good run as well. It sees them go P3. So at the minute it's X44, Acciona Sainz and Veloce. Right now it's about how far up this leaderboard they can get. They're chasing down the time of Gilmore and Sarrazin for Veloce. Jutta Kleinsmith coming down towards the finish line now. She crosses the line, and where they slot in, they go fourth. So at Cupra into P4. Well, that's it then for Q1. Confirmation of the result. It's X44 at the top of the table with Gutierrez and Loeb. A spin for Gutierrez, don't forget, but Loeb with an absolutely epic run. P2, Acciona Sainz. Sainz and Sands, brilliant performance by both of them as well. And Gilmore and Sarrazin right up there in P3. Just look, a second and a half ahead of Abt, Cupra, Ekstrom and Kleinschmidt. Looking for that green light, there it is. And Christine GZ gets Q2 underway, reaches down to the dash, changes that setting that all the drivers change as they head off the line.
So many different challenges within this this race weekend. Oh, the rear end kicking up really nastily, just caught a little bit of a hole and pushed the car up.
It's another look at the moment with Ollie. So to the right is, he goes through the, should have gone left. Yep, there we go. Okay.
Just realised it too late, didn't he? He realised that he'd missed that. Yep, windscreen wipers on again as they take a splat into the water. That was a real belly flop, wasn't it, that time almost?
Jumped in as well as jumped out, didn't he? Is that a slightly different line than before? I think it is.
Yeah, definitely taking a right-hand line. Now, I don't know if that's because they were pushed wide, but they've definitely had to rejoin at flag 12 because it gets a lot skinnier there. No option if you're going to make that gate. You've got to go skinny.
I'm keen to see if Loeb's going after the traction challenge again, remember. And now another big car. So going through the undergrowth there, they're revealing a few tricks on this run, aren't they? He's gone 2 seconds quicker, almost 3 seconds quicker than Excite Racing went through there. Loeb here heading. Can he beat his own time through the traction challenge? Amazing. But Gutierrez coming down now towards the flag. Their time in the first session was a very impressive 11:05.1. I think it's about to be beaten by about 15 seconds. There it is, 11:45. They've gone 20 seconds faster than they went. Remember, Cristina Gutierrez had a spin in the first one. That maybe accounts for 10, but the other 10 is pure speed. Hansen approaching the last couple of gates now over the crest on the right-hand side, going to go over the crest on the left and carry the speed down this straight to the finish line. And the time is 11:04.1.
This is very sketchy area, the downhill that she's doing right now. There's like a huge hole in the middle, so you have to decide if right or left.
Oh, she's just managed to lose the car, so she goes around. As you say, you get into those ruts, you lose the steering. It's heavy to try and correct, isn't it, out there?
It could be a big advantage. Sarrazin takes out another camera, 3-0 to the drivers. The cameras, wheel off, front right. Wheel off the car.
What a shame. He won't be able to see what's happened, but that absolutely went to pieces.
So this is it. Look, a little bit of an opposite right-hand lock coming on. Flicks the car back the other way. No, it's just broken when he's hit the brake. So when he's hit the brake, the forces then come through the front of the car. You load the front of the car up with a weight transfer. Will you do it again, Timmy? Because it does look to be quick. I mean, you know, he's got extra with the spin. He manages not to roll the car, but now there's so much dust he can't see which way he's going. Pops out, he's going to try and figure out where the road is. Rejoins, looks down at the wheel. This is a replay of Ekstrom's problem, so he comes through big tufts across. Oh, it's the rear end of the car got kicked up really high. On the gas instantly, trying to spin the car around, but then so much dust that he can't quite see where he's going, and you see him pop out from the dirt and on the far side, trying to figure out exactly where the track is. This is where he realises and pulls it back onto the line.
And it's green for go. Let's see what Carl Leduc can do out here. Let's see what line he takes. Just straight through the middle then.
I've been looking at that, Jenny. I honestly, genuinely wondered about that. Why not? Particularly as we've seen people have offs. Where they've had their offs, they don't then think, oh, I must get back to the track safely. They literally drive through the undergrowth. And I was kind of wondering, why haven't more people just sort of mullered their way through that first sector? And Kyle, well, of course, it was Kyle Leduc who did it, wasn't it?
They need to get this car round. They have no time on the board at the moment. Kyle Leduc, good show out there.
Yeah, they'd love those 5 championship points, wouldn't they? And there he goes into P2, just 0.83 off.
Full focus. Look at the concentration in her eyes. The arms held rigid, but with enough flex. And there we go, through the finishing line. She's managed an 11.02, 6.08 into second place. Great job. Christopherson just getting caught up there. He's going absolutely out flat, chat. He really wants to get these points.
He's taken the low line through there as well. He went to the right-hand side through the undergrowth. His eyes are absolutely wide as he comes through, jumps in and out of the water splash on the exit now, through the exit flags, and let's see what that time was like. Are they going to go to the top? Oh, 0.68! So close, but not quite enough. So 5 points at the minute, still going the way of X44. That would close it right down. They know they need it. Oh, kicks the rear end of the car really high up. I just wondered for a second there with that camera angle whether or not they'd... Oh, no! Oh, we're right. Has he got a problem? So now he's going to have to try and hang on. There's definitely something. Is it rear wheel? Rosberg's looking at the screen just as we are. He's probably got the same small monitors we've got. No, the car seems
puncture,
okay.
Front right puncture. I can see it from here. It's deflating at the front right, so he's going to have to nurse this back. Hope it doesn't delaminate, which would be that the entire wheel just goes off on one, but it looks like there's more of a problem. You can see the dust coming up from that car. Doesn't look right or happy.
Still aiming for that top 3 position. Christopher's going to blast down towards the line now. Just a couple of gates to go. It's 18.7 was the gap to Andretti. United, it's 17.2 up to Leduc and Price over the line. They get P3, so he just misses outlook on Leduc and Price. So close. What a drive without the puncture, Jenny.
Wowzers, it was just too aggressive, too much at risk, but he managed to get it back. What an impressive drive that was. He looks absolutely wired.
Oh, it had to be X44 taking their 4th TQ in a row. Is this finally going to be the weekend they take the win tomorrow? If they can, they'll close that gap down just a little bit more again to RXR, but so many quick teams here. It's been a real up and down day. You can see that from the qualifying points on the right. Lots of people with one good and one bad session. This is how it's played out. And of course, down at the bottom end of the table, Excite Energy Racing. We've got Veloce and we've got JBXE as well. So those guys are going to be into the crazy race tomorrow. That's their championship points as well at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, Andretti United, then Segi, Chip Ganassi and Acciona Sainz. You can see the points they're collecting at Cupra, RXR and X44 taking the big points this weekend. So they've done well for themselves so far, but still plenty more on the table. Look at the talent there. Taking to the car, it'll be Timmy Hansen versus Christine Gutierrez versus Sarah Price. Who is going to get the upper hand in that? Who is going to get the line they want to get?
So if I had to pick in terms of who has the most experience at starts, remember that Sarah Price and Christina Gutierrez are off-road racers, so they're used to normally one car at a time. Sarah will have done some stuff. I'm sure they both will have done some stuff where they race against other cars, but Timmy Hansen is the driver who has done the most of that with a career entirely in rallycross.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
30 seconds to go. Gonna get this one underway. Semi-final number 1. This is the first time we've seen these multiple lanes heading into one. Left-hand side of the grid, Christina Gutierrez for X44, Sarah Price for Chip Ganassi Racing in the middle. Right-hand side of the grid, closest to us, Timmy Hansen for Andretti United. Gutierrez with a hand on the dash already, ready to change that setting off the line. Is anybody going to use hyperdrive? They're all watching, waiting for that green. Here we go. Oh, brilliant start by Hansen. Great reaction time. He's going to try and take that lane off. Segi TV, Chickanassi Racing immediately gets in. Door to door with X44. Maybe a tiny bit of contact. X44 take it. I wonder if they split their route there again. Christina Gutierrez is off. She's into the trees. Where's Hansen? Hansen looks to have gone down the right-hand side. We can't see anything here from the dust. Segi TV, Chickanassi Racing are down that central line. There is the X44. They're in the championship fight. Gutierrez trying to reverse it out on the undergrowth. It's an absolute disaster off the start. We saw Hansen move across. At the moment, we think the only car, but then Andretti United are moving. There they are. So Andretti United are off in P2, but our championship fighters, X44, have had a disaster.
Oh my goodness. So it looks like there's damage to the Andretti United car as well. So they're just going to have to drag this round if they can at all. So it's Price and Leduc out in front in the Chip Ganassi car. They thought they had the worst start. The car really dug down, but actually they stayed well clear of that accident and the crash and the contact that they had. Now they've just got to focus, because I think this is a one-horse race at the moment. We were so excited about the potential, but championship-wise, this is a massive loss for X44 if they cannot get that car going, and it certainly looked like Gutierrez was bogged down.
Look where it is. It's in the middle of a huge bit of undergrowth. You need to take another look at that in a moment. It is parked deep in the undergrowth. There's 20 metres of undergrowth either side of it. How they ended up in there, I have no idea, unless there was contact. So Hansen's start was brilliant. His reaction time was incredible. Whatever setting they had on the car, he launched it across and he stole that lane. You can see in the background they're still moving. So Andretti United are 30 seconds down. The top two go through. To be honest with you, Jenny, even if Andretti United break down now, they will have gone further than X44. But what happened at the start, because I'm afraid we did not see it from where we were watching. We have no idea whether there was contact, and if there was, the stewards might get involved.
Well, you can see Gutierrez was in the car and the boot was up. There was nothing she could do. So that is a really disastrous start for X44. Championship-wise, also a big hit as well. So let's have a little look at what happened in the replay.
Right, off the start then, there's Hansen. Oh, he gets straight into Segi TV Ganassi. Then he gets into the back of X44. Gutierrez, that's a tricky one. So, okay, Andretti United have had contact there, Jenny, with both cars. I would argue his contact actually on board with Christina now, look. Ooh. So she keeps the throttle buried, though, after the contact. So the actual initial contact isn't that hard. It's what I would call a tag at the start. There it is, yeah? But she keeps the throttle lit, look, and as she goes over the bumps on the right, Hansen ends up here, but she actually goes through the hedges, if you like, and deep into the middle.
Yeah, she's actually beached, isn't she, in the middle of that island, so she's got her own island X Prix going on, which is not ideal for her.
She wanted.
This is a driver who's come back from a fractured vertebrae in the Kazakhstan rally. She came back to the last X Prix, did a really good job there, but that's game over for them pretty much. They're not going to be able to get that car out of there very easily. So this is a shame, because we were so looking forward to this semi-final. But look, Segi TV Chip Ganassi going.
Sorry to interrupt. I think Andretti United are stopped on course. So I think they've stopped on course. They're showing they are. So they've stopped on course as well. So as it stands, Andretti United would go through because they've gone further than X44, but I can guarantee you that's going to the stewards, 100%.
Yeah, the stewards will definitely have to look at that. I think it was very aggressive from Timmy Hansen off the start. Remember, this is the man who he dislocated his shoulder yesterday 3 times, had to put it back in. And I think the last thing he wanted was for anything to go wrong with the power steering or to have any big impact and crash. And that's, I mean, the impact's not too bad, but
look, they had no choice. They're in lane 3, which is not the good lane. It's the worst of the 3 lanes. He had to try to do something at the start. Everybody knows that the start is absolutely crucial. He also knows, don't forget, that they're handing over to Kyle Leduc and Sebastian Loeb, you know, who've been outrageously quick, and Katie was going to have to hold those off. He had to get in and give Katie an advantage at that point. So he's a very aggressive start. He's an aggressive driver, Jenny. You know, he's a very, very good rallycross driver, but he is aggressive. They all are, to be fair.
This is the difference in our backgrounds, isn't it?
Yes,
because
yeah,
you come from a very contact-ridden, you know, full-out aggressive
door-to-door,
sport.
in the door,
exactly.
get into it. Yeah, it's
Whereas
not allowed.
I come from circuit racing,
Don't touch.
where you know, you have a little bit of contact and the car goes sky high and you've written it off. So it's risk versus reward. For me, we talk about this a lot, but for me,
we do, yeah.
That was too much risk and a very little reward for the Andretti United team. And I think they're going to look back at that and regret it. And if I was a steward looking at this, you'll be pleased I'm not, I'd kick them out.
Well, there you go. So Jenny not sitting on the fence, at least, with that, and I appreciate that as well.
What would you do?
So I think they will need to look, what they need to decide. So the initial contact with Segi TV Chip Ganassi Racing really is irrelevant because they're miles out in front. So, you know, if you gave Hansen a penalty for that, it wasn't really harsh contact. The thing is, for me, the contact with X44 isn't very hard. So the question is, did Gutierrez, if she'd backed off, could she have kept the car on? So by keeping the throttle buried, effectively, has she crashed herself after the contact, or did the contact cause the crash? And that's what they'll look at.
Okay, that makes sense. You sat on the fence, though. You haven't told me what you think, but we'll come back to that after the switch.
I'm very good at that.
And then I just came out with a straight opinion. I don't know why I did that. Anyway,
No,
car
go for it.
99. Let's see. This is Sarah Price handing over to Carl Leduc. Now, this is useful information gathering for them. They don't need to go round at high speed. They can just go round and see what they want to do. And take it relatively easy, which is great for them. They needed some good luck, and they've got it.
Look how chilled they are. It doesn't actually matter if they take half an hour in the switch right now. They can do it, and why do it? Just do it. Right, another look. Hansen, far right of the grid, Andretti United. Watch his start. Actually, to be fair, the reaction times of everyone were great, but he's into... That's quite hard compact. Here, it's a little tag of the rear right quarter, but it's here. Do you see Gutierrez has kept the throttle lit? Unless she's had a fault, because to me, Jenny, she's a really good driver. She wouldn't have kept the throttle lit that long. It's almost like, here, we're on board with her. Right, let's listen in if we can. I don't know if we've got the audio from it. So there's the contact. She goes over a bump on the right here. That kicks her off. But now, look, she's still accelerating, and you've been tagged. You can't just keep accelerating through it. So either the throttle is jammed on, or Gutierrez has kept the throttle on. So as I say, the stewards have got a really tough job, Jenny, because they've got to decide, did Hansen cause that? Yes, the initial contact. There it is, looking at it from outside. Yes, he did cause the initial moment, but did he cause it to go 20 metres into the bushes? I'm not sure. So...
Yeah, see, this is why I'm not a steward. This is why I just talk about it.
I hate to be a steward.
Very
Worst job.
hard. Like, let's have another look. So this is Gutierrez. You can see the input to her wheel. She's struggling like crazy to hold on to it, and oh, that is a big impact. And I don't think she realises quite how far into those shrubs she is, but she's really been launched into it.
The look on her face, like her mouth was absolutely wide open. Right, let's hear from down in the paddock.
I'm in the command centre with Katie Munnings. Katie, it looks like Timmy's got further than Christina, so but in that case, it would mean that you guys would go through. Do you think you can get the car ready for the finals?
Yeah, I think so. I think damage-wise, yeah, it shouldn't be too hard. We couldn't really see what happened. It looked like as Timmy kind of went in front, I think he crossed over into a line and Sarah kind of clipped his back wheel. So I think that's what initially threw him off the line. That's what we're hearing. And then we didn't see the cameras cut out, so I don't know what happened. But I think, yeah, I think damage-wise we'll be okay. It's just, yeah, as you say, we can't continue here. But I think we've reached a far enough waypoint. So hopefully, if that's the regulation, then yeah, we can qualify.
Thank you. Well, obviously, it's disappointment for Katie Munnings in the command centre. They were really looking forward to a good race for Andretti United. But I have to tell you, the stewards will be investigating. We've just had a little docket flash up, and it says the incident between car 23 and car 44. So those are the two cars that are stricken at the moment. Andretti United next 44, and you can see that's the parked up car of Timmy Hansen, as Carl Leduc goes through on a cruising round to just take his place in the final. Thanks very much.
I love how chill they are going round. It's like they're desperate. You think how cursed this poor team has been, Jenny, and finally they're going around going, I don't believe it. You know, even if they break down now, they'll go through as the winners of semi-final one. And I just, you can just sitting in, I'm so looking forward to, have they made the final? I'm not convinced they've been in the final before. I don't think they have.
It's the easiest ride through that they have had, that anybody has had to get through to the final. And I think Kyle Leduc is so exciting. He's still giving it some beans out there.
They've never made it out the shootout. So they were in the shootout of round one and crashed into Claudia Hurtgen. Do you remember? They were in the shootout. Oh, sorry, they did win the shootout in Senegal, but that was before it led to the final. So we only had 4 cars in the final, so you didn't get through. So then last time they were in the crazy race and they came third. Do you remember Sarah Price broke down and just looked so gutted in Greenland? Now they're in semi-final one, and they're going to win it. They're going to win semi-final one. They're going to go to the final, and I'm so excited for them. They've shown so much promise. Who doesn't want to see Chip Ganassi racing in the final?
Now, just thinking about this would be the perfect opportunity to try for the Continental Traction Challenge time. I don't think he's going for it. I don't think he is trying, but this, I mean, there's 5 points on offer. If I was Leduc, I would have absolutely gunned it through the section to see if I could collect those 5 points and take them away. Because at the moment, those points are going to car 44. Am I right with that? It's Gutierrez and Loeb that were fastest yesterday.
And do you know what, Jenny? That is a great shout, and I 100% agree with you. It's a missed opportunity, so there will be a reason for that. I wonder, you know, maybe, just maybe, are they carrying some damage from the contact in the first corner, in which case, they, you know, you imagine you're doing 120, 130 clicks, and the wheel comes off and you destroy the car. So they're looking risk reward again and going, maybe they feel they can't. But yeah, you're right, because they've got the track to themselves.
Yeah.
And also with the other two cars having retired, even if they did retire, they would still go through to the final. So it's a strange one, isn't it? Maybe they're not going slowly just for tactics. Maybe there is an issue with the car. Perhaps we can catch up with Sarah or the team and find out.
Yeah, that's a really good call, isn't it? I mean, it gives us another chance to get our heads around this track. 7 kilometers, it's pretty tricky for them. This is the section with hyperdrive, so hyperdrive's working on that car. That's a good sign. And if he was going to go for that challenge, he would have gone for it through with a hyperdrive through that section. So we know he's not at full. I think he's about 50%.
I was going to say he's not at full throttle there, Jenny, because you can hear even with the hyperdrive, he didn't use all the RPM, did he? It was like almost a test. Let's see if the button's working, but not at 100% throttle. So yeah, interesting.
They've had such bad luck that I wonder if they're, you're right, either they've got damage or they're saying, right, let's just consolidate where we are. That's a funny old line to take.
Yeah.
Why is he doing that? Is he testing it out for later, or is he just getting a bit waylaid in it? It's really interesting to watch a car that you're expecting to be competing, but isn't competing. He was expecting to be pushing so hard at this point, not having to do it.
Electric cars, you hear so much more of the suspension impacts, Jenny. So obviously when you're used to hearing the revs of an IC engine, an internal combustion engine, F1 or anything else, you don't hear things like locked wheels, you don't hear the banging of the suspension. If you're listening on board, and as a driver, that's really disconcerting. You know, I've driven in forest rallies, and you know, the noise under the car is unbelievable. When you watch an onboard video back, all you hear is like someone firing gravel at the floor of the car. But all you can hear in the car is wah, wah. And right, so we are hearing that if Andretti United were DQ'd, the X44 might go through to the final, which is what we expected, Jenny. So it's not over yet, but obviously it's not the result they were hoping for.
No, certainly not. And look, I mean, we're just seeing the finish come through now. And Segi TV Chip Ganassi had nobody else to race. They won the competition because everybody else was out on the wayside. They've done exactly what they needed. They've had so much bad luck. Finally, things turn around for them. Leduc brings the car home. Sarah Price in command centre. Chip Ganassi looks on. It's a strange and muted celebration for obvious reasons, but they will be delighted. It was survival of the fittest, and they managed to get through.
That's lovely. Sarah Price getting a big hug off Chip Ganassi Racing. They know it's not, you know, it's not a... The win on pace they were hopeful later on today. Were they nursing something on that car and desperately trying to get it back without doing more damage and giving the technicians more work to do before later on today? Or is it just like relief and we can't believe it, it's actually gone our way for once? I get that, that's what you say, but this is the result as it stands. But remember, P2 and P3 are under investigation. So will X44 go through and keep their championship fight hopes alive, or is this a big advantage to RXR? Andretti United might be disqualified.
Just to give you a guide, that was about 1.75 minutes slower than the fastest time we had yesterday. So it's clear that that Chip Ganassi team coasted that. We have Sainz, Carlos Sainz. I mean, those are 3 big hitters, and look at the way they are lined up. So you've got Christopherson left, Abt Cooper in the middle with Ekstrom, and then to the right, it'll be Carlos Sainz. I mean, that is a lineup any motorsport category would be very keen to have.
Attention all Extreme E teams. This is race control. Stand by to start racing at the EVER X Prix. Semi-final 2 is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race. 1 minute, 1 minute. 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
So 30 seconds until the start of this race, and we'll see what happens in semi-final 2. Semi-final 1 didn't go quite to plan. So what's going to happen with these 3 behemoths of motorsport?
15 seconds, 15.
15 seconds, eyes to the green light. Who does what? Let's find out. They're ready to go racing in the EVER X Prix. And the green light goes. It's a nice clean start for Sainz. He goes off to the right, but on the other side, yes, you can see they're following each other down the left-hand lane, so no contact this time. RXR seem to be out in front, and then you've got App Cupra. Sainz seems to be bogged down to the right-hand side. There's a lot of dust, which is really difficult for the following car to see, so Ekstrom having a real battle to see what he can actually achieve. And by going out wide, Sainz seems to have done a really good job of avoiding all that dust, but it's RXR who lead the way, and Kristoffersson getting into the first merge point cleanly.
Well called, Jenny. The dust there was so bad for Act, wasn't it? He was right on the tail of RXR as they went into that lane, but with the vision he had, Carlos Sainz has got the better of him. Sainz didn't go fully right, did he? Went down that kind of traditional middle line that we've spoken about. Ekstrom now will have better vision. The dust doesn't look so bad on this part of the course. There's a few more alternate lines. And yeah, we ride on board with Kristoffersson as he heads up towards the Continental Traction Challenge. Will he have a crack at that? Remember, 5 championship points, and at the minute it's their title rivals X44 who hold it.
Yeah, being out in front, Kristoffersson gives himself a bit of luxury. But look, Ekstrom using his hyperdrive right now. That gives you an extra 4-second power boost. So he's trying to claw back the gap, and I think he used it to overtake Sainz, and Sainz is slowing.
So Sainz has gone slowly at the back of the pack, so I don't know why, unless, he's holding on to steering's broken, so the steering is broken. Look at the angle he's having to hold it at. Carlos Sainz has a look of thunder on his face. He's not happy. So App Cooper at this point, Jenny, they would go through, really. So, I mean, that they could wind it back, but he won't want to. He's going to want to beat Kristoffersson.
Yeah, I don't think he needs, as you said, he doesn't need to. Obviously, Kristoffersson doesn't know what's happening. The radios, they do have a radio in there, but if I was somebody, I wouldn't tell Kristoffersson what's going on. I'd just let him go.
Kristoffersson's going for that. I think he's going to go for the Continental Traction Challenge here.
Not used hyperdrive yet, though.
Let's see if he does in this section. Is he on that wide line or not? They need those 5 championship points. He's on the slightly rough line. We're back with App Cupra and Ekstrom.
It's like a rough ride in that car for the App Cupra.
Look at the dust as well. Tricky vision, so he is out wide. Coming into that narrow gate now, have to get back onto the traditional line. Whoa. There goes Johan. That is the cut line through there. He's definitely after those 5 championship points. He came in so hard into that first water splash. Jump in and out, look through here. A little bit of a rhythm section. Got to get this right. Get on the gas on the exit now. So going to fire it up over the line, and we'll find out in just a moment whether or not that's going to be enough to steal the 5 points back. It would be really stealing the advantage back off X44, wouldn't it, after the disaster they've had in Semi-1?
Yeah, they'd definitely give themselves a huge advantage if they manage to claim those 5 points. Well, we'll find out what the timing is. To me, it didn't look as lit as Loeb through there. Loeb was absolutely storming through that section, and I think he did such a good job yesterday that for anybody to come and try and beat that time, it would be a thing of wonder.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, we're lucky to have Kyle LeDuc on the other end of the line. Carl is down in the paddock in Sardinia, having just one semi-final one. Carl, you guys, Chip Ganassi Racing, are through to the final for the first time.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited. Obviously, you know, we had it pretty easy with the start. We had some contact with Sarah, but, you know, those guys ended up wrecking, and we got to do our homework that lap. So, pretty good, pretty excited. Obviously, I didn't try for the super sector, but I did. I definitely will say I've got some guns in the holsters with some lines I learned out there. So definitely ready for this main event. The car's dialed, me and Sarah dialed, the team's ready. And Johan looks like he's got this one wrapped up for sure. And I saw the Sainz car. They did a reset yesterday with, she lost power steering and did a reset in the pit, and he gained power steering back. So they may do that here at the end, or he may do that on track. So it's up to Carlos and the team what they change. It looks like an electrical problem for them.
Kyle, how impressed are you with your competitors here? I mean, talk us through what you can see on track. Obviously, Sainz have got problems, but what you're seeing with RXR out front, Kristoffersson, you know, you're used to competing stateside. Now you're coming up against some of these drivers from Europe. Are there any surprises for you, or are you kind of aware of them already?
There is... None of these drivers are slow. So you always come in and wonder who the bangers are going to be and who's the guys to watch. And obviously the big name guys are out here. And, you know, for us, and me and Sarah, to put down laps competitive with these guys is super exciting to bring home and bring home to our programs and our families back home. But we just haven't had the success that we've all deserved. So this weekend is, we call it redemption time. So we're going to head down, chin down, full throttle, wide open, Chip Ganassi style.
Love it. Kristoffersson then into the switch zone. Carl, talk us through what happens in the switch zone if you can, because from your driver's point of view, it's always fascinating.
Yeah, it's tricky because you just got to turn everything that you're doing off. Patience, look at your buttons, make sure you're set. Remind yourself not to start unplugging, not to loosen belts. Obviously, the switch, me and Sarah kind of have some audio contact back to back while we're going. Just patience, time, no rushing is necessary, and you know, you want to get in and out of there as fast as you can, but the team's giving us such good tools to be able to watch that time, to be able to get in and out fast. And the driver that's getting in, as soon as you sit down, it's just that relief of fresh air. Just sit down. All right, I'm in my race car. I'm in my element. Make sure all my stuff is ready to come out. And you got to hit your points coming out, because you've got pit lane limiter. You've got some launch control stuff you can play with. And then you've got to hit it right when you exit. So there's so many things to process while you're sitting here. Never mind the competition side of it. So you got a lot of work to do in these cars. It's definitely tricky doing a driver switch and getting yourself ready for lap number 2.
Kyle, on your recce lap, if I can call it that section we've just seen Carlos Sainz drive through, you went through on a slightly different line and very slowly. You picking stuff out for the final? You say you've got some bangers, have you, to deliver in the final for us?
Well, you don't have to watch me that close. I gotta try to keep some of that stuff away. Nope, I did nothing out of the ordinary, and I'm just gonna follow the main line in the main event. Should be simple.
Good stuff. Carl, we'll come back to you in a minute. Thanks so much. So the switches have happened. Rosberg X Racing lead the way, then Apt Cupra, and obviously problems for Sainz Acciona Racing. Let's go down and find out exactly what's going on in the command center.
I'm in the switch zone with Johan Kristoffersson. Johan, you came off, you fist pumped everyone, you were really all smiles. That looked like a very good semi-final lap for you.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, my voice is not the best, but the driving was a bit better, so happy with that. But yeah, it was all down to the start. I don't know which line Carlos took, but I think Matthias took the same line as me. But then I saw Carlos was P2, then I heard Carlos got a problem, and then obviously it's difficult to be behind in the visibility, so I heard they lost a little bit of time, so trying to be safe, but also some bumps are actually worse when you're driving slower, so it's very difficult.
Thank you.
Kyle, just a quick word with you again before we let you go and get ready to and prepped for later on today. Why didn't you have a go for the traction challenge? Was that a decision not to risk the car, or was there something else to be gained by looking slowly through there?
Yeah, I mean, we pushed in the beginning, but honestly, it's not worth it. Sadly, we are not in a points hunt. But every point counts. You know, every point counts for sure. But when we get to this main event, we will be wide open through that section. So I predict that we will probably get close to capturing it in the main event. All systems clear, but you know, like Johan said, these cars are built to run at 90 to 100%. So that was by far my roughest lap, going slow. The cars don't like to go slow. They definitely want to be on pace. They're tuned to do that. So even both of these drivers here going slow, it's tough to feel like you've got a good car because you're not going full pace.
When it comes to this battle, I just want to find out what you're thinking between Rosberg X Racing and X44. It's a pretty intense battle, isn't it? And they are quality drivers. What do you make of their chances now we're in the penultimate round?
Yeah, I'd like to think that they don't have a chance against us to win this main event, but at the same time...
Clearly, Kyle.
They're strong. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm confident in what we do and how we do it, absolutely. And I feel like we just got to put it all together. You know, today was a great leadway up to starting on the main event. So, yeah, it's good to watch Johan start because I'm going to be starting my main event. So it's good to watch these guys start and learn a little bit. I'm sitting here watching and learning, and that lap I got to do slow was a lot of watching and learning too. So ready more than ever to get to the main event.
Well, we saw your line off the start yesterday, Kyle, and we're really looking forward to what you do later on. Congratulations on making the final, and we wish you, Sarah, and the Chip Ganassi squad a great run later on today. Thanks for joining us, mate. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks you too as well, for sure.
There we go, Kyle Ledoux with some brilliant insight, Jenny. Interesting saying that, you know, this go slow isn't that easy and it's quite hard on the cars, and that they're so, you know, they're a little stiff in terms of suspension, which sounds mad to people when you're looking at them being off-road. When you lean on them, they work, and when you don't, they clatter around. You remember how noisy Kyle's car was on board when we watched that? We're looking at Molly Taylor now, likely to come round and take victory, remember, in this semi-final, and put them through to the final in much less dramatic style than their rivals X44. You know, how's that going to be psychologically later on today, do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, that's for sure. Right, Taylor uses her hyperdrive to get up some speed going down to waypoint 21. This is the traditional route we've seen people use hyperdrive. So nothing out of the ordinary, but you can see her gripping on and holding on. I love the way that Carl would not be drawn on the, the championship battle between X44 and Rosberg X Racing. It's just all about them, and I do not blame him at all. I've never spoken to a driver who's going to kind of big up one of their main rivals, especially as we know this championship's hotting up and it's going to be intense next season. I hope we get a really good year next year as well, because this has been such good fun.
RXR just used the same line Carl did. I love the fact that Carl said you don't have to watch me that closely. It's like he's like, oh damn, they've spotted what we're up to. So there's definitely some alternate lines. I think the other thing is all of these teams are desperate just to get to the final. We've said this all weekend. This is the harshest course we've had. Get to the final and then just unleash it all. Just go for it. You know, look at last time in Greenland. And Kristoffersen, okay, retired after a massive jump, but we want to see them go for it. And that's what they're going to do come the final, Jenny. It's going to be absolutely flat out, fully lit. We've got, you know, the likes of Leduc and Price in there who don't have to think about the championship. The final is a mouth-watering proposition. It really is.
Molly Taylor just going down the incline section. That's where she rolled the car. If you haven't seen it already, you can check out the replays on the Extreme E website. But it was a pretty violent roll again. That's the second time she's done that, but coming in towards the final now. Yeah,
so Taylor taking the wheel from Kristoffersen at the midway point. Championship fight was towards X44 very much this weekend. They still lead that 5-point battle for the Continental Traction Challenge, but a win in semi-final 2 with no issues for RXR, and they're back on track to try and keep that title lead intact. Brilliant drive.
Fist bumps all round. Nico Rosberg there in the command center and a big smile. Great stuff from Molly Taylor. It wasn't so funny, isn't it? We thought these two semi-finals were going to be absolute rippers, but actually the winners of both of them have gone through with relative ease, and that means we are gung-ho for what should be a tremendous, I can't even imagine, 5 cars on the final. I mean,
it was relief, wasn't it, for Taylor there? We've still got later on, of course, we've got to find out who goes through from the Craze race. We've got one team to go through from there with Veloce, JBXE, and XI Energy are in that one as well, so that's going to make up the final lineup. But we have also had an official decision come through. Andretti United have been penalised for that contact in semi-final number 1. Jenny, what have you got?
Okay, so the official steward's decision says the driver caused a collision with car number 44, forcing the car off the road. Having considered the matter extensively, the stewards determined that the driver is wholly responsible for the incident.
There we go. And what is there a penalty listed? Exactly what they say? Is it disqualification?
Decision, car number 23 will be classified in the last position of the semi-final 1.
There we go. So that puts Andretti United down to 3rd, and that means X44 will go through, as we see Abt Cupra go through in P2 from Semi-2. But X44 have got a lot of work to do on that car. Will they make it to the final or not? Sainz on a go slow. Well, Sands, I think, isn't it now? Bit gutting for them. I mean, they might as well try to finish it. Of course, they were going to try and finish. They were hoping, weren't they? There might be an issue for one of the other teams, as they'd seen in Semi-1. We saw 2 retirements, and they would have been hoping for the same here. Bringing it home, not what they were looking for.
Right, let's go down and hear from the Andretti United team and their team principal.
I'm with Andretti United's team principal, Roger Griffiths. Roger, I wanted to speak to Timmy. He's obviously upset. Can I get your thoughts on being classified 3rd?
Yeah, I mean, obviously very disappointed in the way the outcome of the semi-final 1. I mean, you know, we went in there with a plan to get out in front. Timmy got a really good start, got a little bit ahead of Sarah, and unfortunately there was contact between the 2 cars. And then from that point on, Timmy was really just a passenger. And
results of semi-final 2 are in. Kristoffersen and Taylor with an 11.25. Then Ekstrom, Kleinschmidt and the Acciona Sainz team pulling that car through to the end. You have to feel for them, but they drop out of the running right now. Well, the command centre is the place to be, and the crazy race is what we're about to watch. Scott Elkin saying 30 seconds. So we have JBXE, Veloce Racing and Excite Energy Racing all ready to go.
We do indeed. Kevin Hansen is in the car for JBXE. For Veloce, it's Emma Gilmore. They're on the left-hand side of the grid. Ollie Bennett on the right-hand side for XI. Remember, only one car goes through. Only the winner will make the final. The start is even more crucial, and we've seen the carnage in the other semi-finals. Great reaction time. JBXE going to try and squeeze Emma Gilmore across. Kevin Hansen gets the whole shot on that side of the grid. Gilmore changes the line immediately. Doesn't want to get caught in the dust. She's gone after Bennett. She had great speed, but Bennett was just there before her. She's had to back off and slot in. Now watching Kevin Hansen over on the left-hand side of the grid. Can Bennett and Gilmore carry enough speed through here to beat him to the merge? Oh, it's going to be really close. Ollie Bennett may well get there just before Kevin Hansen. Oh, Kevin comes through, and Bennett took a different line. It was a really bumpy line. He almost made it. Gilmore coming up with a bit more speed in the background. That nearly worked. It nearly worked.
That was fascinating to see how that wanted to go with the lanes and the different choices. Gilmore reacting quickly. She had to, but ended up getting a little bit bogged down in it. This is going to be a great race, though. JBXE out in front. Then it's Excite Energy. Veloce can come back from this. They need to do the tight left and then get on it.
Gilmore can't see, so I think she's backed off because of the dust, and that's that thing again about trying to be as far up the road as you can. There, it gives you a good idea of trying to pick your line in it. Great job by Ollie Bennett. So he's used a line, Jenny, that I don't think we've seen anyone else use up that side. It kind of was middle and then maybe off to the right towards the end. He very nearly got it done, and that might have given some of the other teams a little bit of a clue as to an alternate line. Remember, 5 cars in the final. Somebody's going to have to do something different if they want to try and make it to the front.
Yeah, it's risk versus reward. We talk about that a lot in this championship, but it's so true. Look, Ollie Bennett just trying to close down on Hansen. Gilmore wrestling the Veloce car down at the back. They've got hyperdrive up their sleeves as well, so they can press that button and get a magic 4 seconds boost to their pace. But Hansen out in the front at the moment, and the other teams all watching on, as you say. A conservative start, it seemed like, but actually Bennett did a really, really good job.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. Right, Kevin Hansen, he's jumped into the water splash. Let's see if Ollie does the same. He takes it a bit steady, not much steadier.
Getting a bit sideways, actually, into that. I'm not sure that's the line that you would pick.
And there's Gilmore coming through as well. Gilmore with the wipers will be on immediately. There goes Kevin now. So Kevin in the traction challenge section of the track. I think maybe not going for the quickest time through here. This is tricky for them. So in the other 2 semis, Jenny, 1 car goes out and you immediately know you can wind it in a little bit that you'll make it. But here, you can't, because if anybody, it's only 1 car goes through.
You feel the pressure. That's why it's called the crazy race. You're absolutely right. Kevin Hansen is going for this, getting a really nice time for the traction sector. I don't know if it's going to be fast enough. We'll hopefully find out. But Bennett needs to keep up the pressure. You need to force your competitors into a mistake, and it's very difficult with the dust. You've got your windscreen wipers on for those water events as well. But just close it down. Keep on pushing.
There's Emma Gilmore coming through the end of that section. You can tell you what, they're not far apart, Jenny. There's a couple of 100 metres between them. Kevin with a clear lead. He's going to want to come in. Obviously, if he can hand over to Michaela Arnott-Kotlinski with a good lead, plus the dust, that's going to give them a little bit of an insurance policy. Will he use the hyperdrive here? 42's under investigation. Is that Bennett?
Yeah, that is Bennett. So at the start, waypoint 2 is where they swing around, and I just wonder, he missed a waypoint yesterday. I just wonder if it means that when he was trying to rejoin, he missed the target approach and went on a different line. You spotted it,
yeah.
And that different line might not have been through the waypoint. So
well,
there might be a penalty.
The waypoint for the final because it was great. So that's why we make waypoint 2 wider. It was so that's a shame, isn't it? So he's got lost in it. A number of the drivers have said, Jenny, haven't they, how hard it is to pick your line because it's so confusing out there with all the different tracks. So it looks like Bennett will get that penalty, and actually that's going to play massively into the hands of Hansen and Kotlinski.
Yeah, absolutely. They won't want to relax, though. They won't want to rest up too much, but they have got a relatively healthy advantage at the moment. They'll just go over this gradient, down the hill. This is where we've seen a few different lines emerging. I think they've gone for the slightly conservative option. I don't blame them at all at this moment.
Kevin pushing hard as he goes through the left-hander. You will have seen the traction challenge graphic top right of your screen a moment ago, and that's for that section between the 2 water splashes. The fastest driver for whatever team in whatever session this weekend through that section gets 5 championship points. And Jenny, at the minute, it's crucial, isn't it?
Absolutely. This championship is winding up. It's really starting to come alive. And as the 2 big teams battle it out at the top of the table, that's RXR and X44, there's only a few points in it. At the moment, Sebastian Loeb did an absolutely thunderous part of the challenge yesterday. He's the one due to collect those 5 points for the team, but that can still change all the way up until the cars cross the final line later.
Ollie Bennett with a little jump out on the back section of the track, and Veloce are right with them. So Emma Gilmore has closed up the gap. Look, they're very, very close behind. JBXE already into the switch zone. You watch on the right-hand side of your screen. Bennett was so late on the brakes, and so's Gilmore. They're all pushing their luck there just to try and make it in. Kevin's going to jump out now. The seat insert goes in for Arlen Kotlinski. 45 seconds the minimum time. Well, Kevin forgot to pull off his comms lead there.
I think this is the opportunity all of the teams will see to try and get some momentum. So this is a replay of the start. You can see JBXE going hard left. Gilmore back on behind the car, realizes she needs to find another way through. Goes right, but already Ollie Bennett is there, so she takes a second point. To the left, you can see JBXE almost level with Excite Energy. They're going down there. Let's look out for waypoint 2, because this, so this is the moment. So Ollie goes right, hard right. Emma comes in behind JBXE's team, and once again, the Excite Energy racing team miss a gate. They will get penalised for that.
5 bonus points is what they should get for the inventive line. It's a shame though, isn't it, Jenny? Because actually that line works if you took the risk over the bumps there as well. Didn't Emma Gilmore do well not to get sucked into following Bennett through that line? She realised and went left. And
Quick
also,
thinking.
she wasn't that far behind when she changed her mind and went right off the start after they got beaten by JBXE. They weren't that far behind, so there are options at the start.
Right, the fight is on. You can see JBXE out in the front, but behind them it's Veloce that are battling with Excite Energy. We can't see it right now, but I tell you what, it is close as close. They both released from the switch zone at the same time. Arlen Kotlinski got a nice lead out the front, but let's see what the others can do. Christine GZ is going to try and track her down. Stefan Sarazan, he's had some bad luck this weekend. So look how close they are now. This is great.
So this is Sarazan chasing them down. Here we go. Let's see how this is going to go.
I'm in the switch zone with Kevin Hansen. They don't call it the crazy race for nothing. You and Ollie were battling it out.
Yeah, it was a nice race. I was very happy to get the start from Emma. It was the main target, and from there on the course was rough, but we have a good car. I think it's very nice, and I heard the gap was increasing throughout the race, and to give Michaela a 22-second lead, it felt really great. So just hopefully she can bring it home, and we'll get through to the main one again.
Thank you.
It was 23, but it's already down to 20. So Christine GZ is closing that gap. But look at Sarazan. Sarazan, we know, is a real chaser. He took that incredible line up in Greenland. He's right behind Christine GZ now. Her mirror look on the left-hand side of the car, flapping around, so she's not necessarily... Oh, so close to that rock, Jenny.
Yeah, we had a problem with that when I think it was Sarah Price, but she is going so hard, pushing all the time, but it doesn't look like she's 100% in control of that car at that moment. She's going to do the left. She is feeling Sarazan and the Veloce car all over her back, and Sarazan really trying to force her into a mistake. It's only a moment of time. I think this must feel horrible for Christine GZ in that car.
Sarazan has got to get past. He's got to get past as soon as possible and try to capitalise on gaining on that time. Look, Arlen Kotlinski's made a second up on them now, so she's gaining back. JBXE will be watching in the command centre. Sarazan will take any opportunity he can to come past. He looks up the inside line into this long right-hander. Oh, just misses the flag.
This is high danger here. There are big ruts that have developed over this track, and if you get in one of those, it can launch you off to the side. So this isn't the moment to do it. But as they round to the left, I just wonder if he made it past that flag. I hope he did. This is going to be the out of... Oh no, what's happened? The steering's gone. It looks like the Excite Energy team are out of this. They've had a crash. So the Veloce are through now. What disaster for Excite Energy. But look at this. What can they do now? Sarazan, full beans. He's on the hunt for JBXE. Remember, one place. That's it. Only one car goes through to the final. Who can do this? Is it going to be JBXE? Is it going to be Veloce?
Sarazan's been released now, Jenny. We know how fast he is. He's got... there is nothing for him to gain by taking this easy. He might as well absolutely go full risk, full send, and try and chase it down. The gap's come down by a second there, 19 to 18. They're halfway around the course, though. He's running out of time to do this. I'm gutted for Christine GZ. Oh! Sarazan's rolled! The Veloce machine's had a wheel off, it's on his roof. Game over for Veloce again. He had to risk it, but the car has been destroyed. They're parked at the side of the road. Drama in the crazy race.
I mean, crazy race by name, crazy by nature. Arlen Kotlinski needs to just babysit this car around the track, which is hyper-aggressive. Look at this! It's an absolute shunt. Sarazan is getting out the car. Thank goodness for that. He seems to be in one piece. The car is certainly not. I don't know what happened. We haven't seen the images, but my word, that is a second big hit for Veloce. Remember back at the first race in Saudi. Let's see what happened.
So he's coming through the traction challenge section. Oh, he went, oh, look at that. It's one of the biggest accidents of the season. The rear left corner comes off immediately. The rear right broken as well. He's taken that right-hand line, the low blind, Jenny, to try to avoid the dip compression and carry the speed through. He had to do it. They had that deficit to make up to JBXE, and the car just got fired like a stunt machine, basically, into the air. You know when they fire a cannon under the car? It looks pretty much like that. It's a huge crash. He's okay, but the car is not.
I tell you what, that's one thing that the safety of this championship, thank goodness that car managed to do a full barrel roll, and Sarrazin manages to get out the car. He'll be sore, he'll go to the medical centre, he'll get checked out. But that a nasty incident for Veloce, and it releases JBXE to just get out there and cross the finishing line and make their way through and progress into the final. This has been anything but plain sailing for the others. Medical team already on site and just tacking with Stefan Sarrazin, a really nasty shunt for him.
He's fine. Look, you can see just the way, you know when you can sense someone who's walking completely unaided. We're on board with him now, so watch this. Coming up, look, oh, just instantly fired, and that is it. 1, 2, and the camera fails, and I'm not surprised. And that gives you an idea of what it's like. And this is Arlen Kotlinski again, sorry. Wow. Well,
it just never stops.
No, 3 very dramatic races in for very different reasons.
And it's Arlen Kotlinski who crosses the line for JBXE. A dramatic race. It was crazy as they come, but look at the smile on her face. She is delighted. She's done the job. Kevin Hansen gave her a 22-second lead. They managed to convert that into the win. They wouldn't have wanted to win it that way, but you know what? They are through into the final, a 5-car final. And this Island X Prix just keeps on delivering surprises, drama, and excitement.
You said it, Jenny, about it being high risk for Sarrazin. You said it when he was in behind Christine GZ. She broke the steering and released him.
Time for the final. And I tell you what, we've already had grid play where the drivers nominate who they want to select their grid spot first. There was a lot of tomfoolery and joking around, really nice atmosphere. But there you can see Timmy Hansen donating his votes across to X44 by way of an apology to say, sorry for taking you out, but you got through there anyway. So we are ready to go racing. Let's head down to the paddock and Caroline de Moraes. Well, the driver interviews, they're ready to go, and rain coming down, which really makes things interesting. They haven't had to experience these conditions in the wet.
It's perfect, though, isn't it, really? I don't think, looking at the pictures we're seeing now, I'd say it's potentially eased off a little bit. And, oh, OK, it looks damp on the grid, doesn't it? Eat your words, Coley.
They have had bucket loads of rain. Look, all of the little ridges and holes have filled up with water. We had 2 water events here before. Now we've got a lot more.
Attention all Extreme E teams, This is race control. Stand by to start racing at the Enel X Island X Prix. The final is about to commence. Energize your systems and prepare to race.
Well, we've had the traction challenge all weekend, haven't we? And now we really are looking at a traction challenge off the line. Definitely, if it's wetter there, that could affect the grip levels off. We know it's absolutely crucial, the start, Jenny. We've seen carnage in one, and in the other we saw a bit of dust. I do think the heavy rain will mean that you won't get the problem that Ekstrom had in his semi-final. Look as well, the light levels are lower. Might be a bit more difficult to pick out the changes in surface and in grip level.
So from the left to right, as we're looking from behind the cars, it's Abt Cooper, Kleinschmidt, X44, Loeb, Chip Ganassi Racing with Carla Duke, Taylor in the RXR leading the championship at the moment, and then to the right, as you're looking at it now, JBXE with Arlen Kotlinski. So the rain comes down. We are ready for the Island X Prix in Sardinia. Lights gonna go out. You're watching for the green light, and then 5 cars will go racing. So we are off. Oh, it's a stall start for the Abt Cooper team. They're going nowhere. X44 out to the left. Is there going to be contact? Yes, a bit of contact there before JBXE and RXR. But if you just look through, Leduc and Price have gone, and they have gone fast. A very different line. They need to cut back to the left to go through the waypoint. But at the moment, it looks like it is X44 leading the way. They're going to get the join in. Oh, look at that, sliding through, and it's the Segi TV team. They have got the lead of this. Leduc out there. We know he's a is going to have to get going, and it looks like Kleinschmidt's managed to get going for the Cooper team as well, but Leduc out in front.
How has he managed to pull that off on that line? Kyle Leduc came in, we saw from the distant shot, he just got them at the merge. It was super close between them, so now we've got two of the fastest and most spectacular drivers out front. Kyle Leduc told us earlier on when we were talking to him in commentary that he was going to go for the Continental Traction Challenge in the final, and Jenny, he's in the perfect position to do it. Get in there, send it, Kyle, come on.
Yeah, he really is. 5 points on offer for that as they go through the first water jump. You'll see that's when the clock starts ticking, but I can tell you what, Sebastian Loeb is hunting him down. Remember, 2 laps around here. They do a driver switch in between. These are the guys that started as a puncture, front left puncture. I think it's a slow puncture on the car for Loeb.
I think you might be right, Jenny. They've had TQ 4 times, and it looks
Top
like again,
qualifier.
4 times, and it looks like they are potentially going to have an issue again. It is front left, so they're going to have to change that one. They don't have to. They could continue on it if they think they can continue on it for the entire run. Let's see how much time Loeb loses. Conditions have really changed. The rain was much heavier than we thought. Look, mud splashing up here. Leduc drops down now into the first of those water splashes. What line is he going to take, and is he going to use the hyperdrive here? They're going to have to change that surely, Jenny. It'll be off the rim if he's not careful.
He's just going to have to try and nurse it a little bit to get round, because at this stage you can't lose the car halfway round this track. But I tell you what, they are catching. Kleinschmidt doing really well to try and pull back some of that lead. X44 out in front. Look at Loeb go. Oh, sorry, in second. Look at him go. They're just trying to close down, but he's got that puncture. This is going to be really hard to navigate now.
Kleinschmidt's done well, hasn't she, to get right onto the back of Molly Taylor. Whether or not she can find a way through. There's Loeb's line. That, though, the bump which seemed flatter yesterday, that's the one which caught out earlier on Stefan Sarazan, that enormous crash. Oh, Loeb now, is he struggling? I think he's broken the steering. Loeb's steering is broken. X44 are out in the championship fight. The damage is done. The tyre was off the rim, and then the impacts are just too big. I saw him going straight on in the water splash, and they are out of the final. 4 top qualifiers and 4 no results.
A real big hit for their championship challenge as well. They were on 96 points behind RXR on 104. Now, if you are in that RXR car, you've got to think sensibly. You've got to think about the championship. You've got to bring it home. You can't do anything too spectacular now. Let the wind go. Let Segi TV and Carl Leduc go, surely.
I don't know, Jenny, I don't know. I'm sitting here thinking, what about the 5 points available for the Traction Challenge? Remember, at the minute, X44 have got those points. So those 5 will get added on at the end of this race, which would bring the gap down to 3. But then obviously the difference between a win is 25 and P2 is 19. I mean, you could stretch it if you can take the win. I think Kristoffersen might go for it. Let's see.
Well, you know him better. I'm just trying to work out 2 cars going in 2 very different directions here. So have we got a very different route? There's Loeb, can't go anywhere. Kleinschmidt using hyperdrive. I'd love to see a longer shot so we can work out what's going on. But definitely a very different direction there for the other car catching on RXR.
I'm looking at how far up the road Kyle Leduc is. According to this, Taylor's 32 seconds back on the lead. If that's the case, that is an absolutely monstrous lead that Leduc has built up. Taylor, it doesn't seem to be an issue on there. Kleinschmidt's right with them. It's going to be Kristoffersen versus Ekstrom at least for P2, but they will try and chase Price down, but Price is a class act. I think if Leduc comes in with a lead like this, Jenny, it'll be tough to get back to them.
It will do, but I tell you what, Kleinschmidt closing down Taylor at the moment, really going for it. Kleinschmidt using a very different line, have an absolute bonsai chance. So this will be into the switch zone. It's wet down there. You've got to hit your braking point, otherwise you get penalised. That's what Leduc's done.
And hard work in these conditions. Remember, they've been able to brake super late and hard. We know it's cut up a little bit, but with there being a greasy surface now, I didn't hear what Leduc said. Just judging that braking zone is even more important. How close is Kleinschmidt and Abt Cooper to the back of Taylor and RXR? Going to be a brilliant race between these two. It's going to be a race in the switch zone as well.
Considering that they stalled off the front, had a problem getting away, and they've made up so much time. They've done a great job. Right, switch zone. Okay, so we have 45 seconds minimum on the clock. Just having a look around the front. 1 mechanic is allowed in there to be the technician and make sure the car's okay. They'll switch over drivers. Oh, look at this race into the switch zone. That is as close as you can like it. Oh,
almost a pass on the way in. Kleinschmidt had to adjust her line a bit there as coming in these greasy conditions.
She's a wily old fox, isn't she? She knows what she's doing. She's got a few Dakar tricks, having won outright in the past.
I'm just thinking what slots they're going into for their changeovers. So although you have to stop for the 45, obviously you can then accelerate hard up to the limit of 30 kilometers an hour. Now, RXR are a long way further down, so I don't think you're going to get like a pit lane scenario where someone tries to get in front. They have to stop for 45 anyway, but it's so close between them that the stop and the getaway are important.
Right, they're already out of there. Carla Duke, you can see, has handed over to Sarah Price. They said ideally, when we spoke to him yesterday, you'd have the first stop in the switch zone. They have switch zone number 4. But he won't mind. He's left his teammate to do the work out there and given her a healthy advantage. Healthy
is the understatement of the year. I was just thinking as we saw Sarah pull out, I'm like, hang on a minute, the others haven't stopped. Timing screen is showing 45.6 back to RXR and 46.3 back to Abt Cupra. He's given them a lead. He's given Sarah Price a lead of more than the switch zone time limit. Brilliant drive by Carla Duke, inspired, particularly off the start. I can't wait to see another look at the start.
So let's take a look then at what happens on the out of here, because we know that RXR with Kristoffersen came in just a tiny bit ahead of the Abt Cupra car. So we've got Ekstrom gonna race against Kristoffersen for second place to see if they can hunt down Chip Ganassi and the lead car.
Arlen Kotlinski's only just come in. They're a minute and 40 down, JBXE. So with X44 out, they will get a P4. But, yeah, they've had issues of their own, obviously. Sarah Price released now into the track. What can she do here? She's got an absolutely massively brilliant job by this man.
I'm in the switch zone with Carla Duke. Kyle leading the race. Phenomenal performance, treacherous conditions. Can Sarah keep up?
Yeah, I think so. I think I may have took a couple hits with the front of the truck that I probably shouldn't have, but really slippery. When you see this shiny part behind you, it is so slippery wet. But we had a great start, had a good turn into at the gate 2. Sebastian obviously had to lift for me a little bit there, but we got there first. So we were on the spot, and he was close. I saw him there a couple times in the window, and
broken steering.
That's fun.
Broken
that's
steering.
What I live for. So that was amazing.
Segi TV, Chip Ganassi
Okay,
Racing.
thank you.
The steering is broken out in the course. Sarah Price has come to a halt while we were talking to Carla Duke. This is unbelievable. No.
Their bad luck continues. They've been beset with it. They had such a big lead, and this is heartbreak for that team once again. Oh, Chip Ganassi, we were watching on and just feeling that there is no luck left for them. And this leaves the way, doesn't it, for this battle now between RXR and the Abt Cupra team. They'll see the stricken car there on the right, the Segi TV car with its windscreen wipers going. RXR could have the potential now of going out there with Kristoffersen and trying to get 5 points from that Jackson Challenge section as well.
Jenny, they've lost a door. Abt Cupra have lost the door. There's tape at the top, which suggests it was only held on slightly anyway. Let's see if we Ekstrom through the water splash. He could be taking on litres here. Look at that. The door is completely gone from the side of the Abt Cupra machine. I'm gutted for Segi TV. They do not deserve that. Chip Ganassi Racing, they deserve the win here, but still, RXR out in front into the water splash. I can't see Ekstrom doing that. Here we go. He's going to come in now. So what approach is Ekstrom going to take? He's going to go tight on the left-hand side, try and avoid getting the water into the car. He's so clever, Ekstrom. He just knows it, but it's going to cost him, Jenny, in terms of the fight with Johan in front of him.
Yeah, it really is. Kristoffersen, I think, is trying to go for the traction challenge points. Remember, it's an extra 5 points. This was the super sector, been renamed this time out, but we've seen some cars have an absolute disaster in trying to get that pace through this very rugged and rocky terrain. So it's a high risk here, and Kristoffersen might think, actually, I just want the 25 points for winning this.
I think as well, Jenny, you've got to look at the mud now. I don't think it's on. So thinking about it, I don't think it will be on. Look how damp this corner is. You would risk way more than it's worth for the 5 points. So they're going to give up the 5 points to X44 on that. I'm sure Loeb will win that with his unbelievable drives through there on day one. He really was good. Ekstrom slowly through the water again. How did they lose a door? Well, I mean, it was there when they stalled at the start. I mean, they say they stalled at the start. We don't know if maybe maybe the car wasn't in drive when they left the line. Look at this, incredible pictures.
It's very careless to lose a door off a car. That's all I'm going to say. What happened? Oh no, JBXE as well. They're having problems as well for Kevin Hansen. Oh dear, this is a very aggressive track. We've seen that all weekend. The cars are struggling, the drivers are struggling. Ekstrom struggling out there. It looks like the car's getting bogged down, but look at this, our championship leaders. making it look almost effortless. Kristoffersen's such a master. You know him well, Andrew. You know he's got all the skills for this championship and more.
There will have been tactics through the course of the weekend for them to try to get themselves in this position now. As you see Ekstrom using the hyperdrive with the door off, it's like an episode of Mad Max. It's just absolutely insane.
It really is, but they're doing all they can. Ekstrom, a fantastic driver as well. Windscreen wipers on. And he's just sliding around on this track, as is Kristoffersen. So it looks like the RXR team on their way heading back. We've got a blind summit for them to navigate through. We know Molly Taylor on her turn during the sessions in qualifying managed to spin it and roll it once again, a full 360. Let's see what Kristoffersen does down the same point. Nicely done, I think. No chance for roll there, taking it relatively easy, and he knows now big points on offer.
Super careful drive on the run down the hill. He used the hyperdrive on the run up to it. They came here, of course, as championship leaders, had that absolute disaster in Q1 when Molly rolled the car and they thought, no, what's in store this weekend? X44 took the top qualifier. They're probably going to take those 5 bonus points, but they're not going to take the victory. RXR have done it when it counts. Kristoffersen and Taylor take their 3rd win of the year and with it a commanding lead in this Extreme E Championship. Fist pump from Kristoffersen, job done in the hardest of conditions right at the end of the weekend, and a brilliant, brilliant performance by the whole team. Look what it means to them.
The emotions there, palpable. I think that means they'll have a 28-point lead in the championship, but you have to say hats off to this team. Stalled at the finishing line, couldn't start, but now it is up to Abt Cupra to cross this line. They don't have a door, they have mud all over them. They don't even care, because you know what? They're going to get 2nd spot when it comes to this, and they have done an epic job. Well done to them. And the results are in, the official results. So 5th place for X44, heartbreak for them, and 4th place for Chip Ganassi Racing as well. JBXC classified in 3rd. 2nd place is the Abt Cupra minus a door, and in 1st it is RXR Racing. Taylor and Kristoffersen winning this, another X Prix under their belts, and another 25 points to lead the championship by 28.
It's now time for your Moe moment.
I think they're all so muddy already. Like, certainly Ekstrom's missing a door, wasn't he? I don't think he's going to be worried about a bit of champagne. A proper champagne fight, a brilliant celebration from another mad race weekend with Extreme E. Third win for RXR. Just, I mean, you know, we're joking about Tiny Temper. Find his lyrics if you don't know what we were talking about. But Kristoffersen and Taylor have got so many trophies, they'll need to keep some of them at somebody else's house at this rate. Amazing. Little drink to celebrate the work.
And you said the Hansen family are in town this weekend in Sardinia. Yeah. So I saw Kevin run over to the crowd. I wonder if he gave the folks a bit of a spray in the face.
Susan, almost certainly. And Timmy also, remember Timmy not making it through to the final with Katie and Andretti United winners last time out, not in the final this time. Still heartbreak for some teams. Just, it was so close for Chip Ganassi Racing, but it wasn't to be, was it?